Selby, who was a couple 18th to 11th. Got an average qualifying this morning pretty quick, so we'll see if you can pick a few more places up here. Dancing around on the curbs in second place.
Straight off, first go.
Yeah.
Right, well, I've had Brian and Alan here give me a hand. We've got the prop back on, the exhaust back on, the under trays back on. Everything is pretty much buttoned up. Front bumpers on, grills on. So now it's just put fluids in it, bleed the brakes. We'll see if we can go anywhere. Just a quick interjection, I think that's the word. All the people that have asked me about this buy a coffee thing, I've done it, I've set it up, the link is in the bio, so if you want to, it's there. All appreciated, thank you. Right, let's get these brakes bled up. I've had a quick Google, and there doesn't seem to be any special procedure for just bleeding them. Sometimes with some newer cars, you have to plug them in and put them into a certain mode and stuff, but this one seems to be okay. The only issue would be if I was replacing the rear brakes, because electronic handbrake, apparently there's a procedure for that, but as I'm just bleeding them and not replacing anything, we should be all right to do the normal procedure. Obviously the brake master cylinder is driver's side front, so we'll start passenger rear, driver's rear, passenger front, driver's front, and we'll have to do that probably 2 or 3 times, so I won't bore you with time-lapsing that or anything. I'll just crack on and hopefully get some brakes. Well, it's running with everything plugged back in and on. I've bled the brakes, just done the coolant, just water and a little bit of coolant at the moment. I need to buy some more, but it's all right just to run it up to temperature. Just want to see if everything works. I've got in there and pressed the brake pedal a few times. Doesn't feel that great, so I'll probably just go around and bleed them again. Doesn't hurt to bleed them as much as possible, get as much out. And yeah, just trying to see if it gets up to temperature now. Right, so as you saw, that was the first drive. The suspension went a bit haywire. The front went up, the back went down. I've just gone for another little drive and it seems to have levelled out, but it does still say air suspension fault on the dash. So I'm going to quickly plug it in and see what it says. I've done a bit of Googling and everyone says just drive it. So we will see. But yeah, successful. First drive. Right, well the first test drive didn't go too much to plan. Got about a mile down the road and the suspension dropped on the front. The rear was all right, but the front dropped really low. So I've brought it back, checked on Google, and they said about unplugging the battery, leaving it for 15 minutes to reset, try again, blah, 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 nothing. But I've had a little look at something. Let me show you. There is the front height sensor. It's not connected, it's come off the arm. So we need to see how that fixes on. Right, I've bodged it for now, just as a proof of concept to make sure that with that secured, it's going to lift. So I need to find out what the strap is that goes around and holds that in place, or make something. But for now, just as a test, it's pretty tight on there with the cable ties. So that should give us an indication to make sure and see whether the suspension comes up. And there we go, it's gone up again. So we need to find the right clip for that. I'll get onto Jaguar in the morning, I think. So I just got home and we've got these faults. ABS fault has come on. So we've obviously got a dodgy ABS sensor somewhere, so we'll have to plug that in and find out which one that is. And also, I've got no buttons. None of the buttons on the steering wheel are working. The horn ain't working, and we've also now got an airbag light. So, but the electric steering wheel is working and all these stalks are. So I'll have to see if there's a fuse just for the steering wheel, or whether it's all different fuses. And then we'll have to just check the connection underneath the column, I would imagine. But that's a job for another day. I'm home now. So it's the next morning. I'm back in the car. 5 o'clock this morning, my mind woke me up and goes, you know why that steering wheel ain't working? It's because the clock spring, or airbag squib as I know it, behind the steering wheel that has the ribbon cable in is probably broken. When I first got in it yesterday, when I tried to turn left, the steering wheel felt like it was getting caught. I presumed it was just because I needed to bleed the power steering system, because there was no, obviously the fluid all come out when I had the engine out. So I thought, so obviously topped the fluid up because it was below the minimum, wiggled the steering wheel and it was free again. So I thought, oh, it's that. Now I'm wondering, when the subframe come off and the steering column was disconnected from the steering rack, whether the wheel was spun left all the way to the extreme of the clock spring, and that turning it extra wasn't the power steering, it was actually the wires on the clock spring and they've snapped. So I reckon it's that. So fingers crossed it's the same as the S-Type. Knowing my luck, it's not going to be. So let's leave the comfort of the driveway, get to the workshop and get the steering wheel off and have a look. So to explain this whole clock spring thing, obviously it must have a ribbon cable in it, that, so it allows you to rotate it without binding up too much, but you only get limited amount of turning, obviously. So that arrow points to the top. So if we turn it round once, you turn the steering wheel twice, go to it a third time, see it stops. So that's at its tightest point. So go back twice, 1, 2, and then we go 2 the other way, 1, 2, and then it can't go any more than that. So I reckon while my steering wheel has been disconnected, where it was in the central position when it was in the car originally, now it's removed and I've obviously undone the steering rack and moved stuff about. I reckon the wheel was turned twice. I've got in it and moved it thinking it was the power steering that was making it tight. I've turned it too much and it's gone ping and snapped. So when it gets to that, yeah, so I reckon I've got too far and it's gone ting and snapped. So let's get the one off the X-Type, no, the XJ. I'll show you how it's done. I just wanted to remove this one to start with, just to see what it was, and then I'll show you how it's done on the XJ. First job is to disconnect the battery and go and have a cup of tea. So that's what I'm going to do. Right, so first job is to remove these 4 Torx. I think there are 30, but unfortunately my screwdriver is writing's come off it, so I can't tell you what size it's off the top of my head. But yeah, undo these 4 first. Next, it's these 2 on the underside of the column shroud. Next is the upper part of the column shroud, which is screwed on from underneath. I can't really, oh there, there's one over there. One screw there, it's just focused on it, and there's a couple more you can't really see at the moment. So undo that and then the top of the column will come off. Next, it's the 2 on the back of the steering wheel, the 2 big ones. There's little ones as well there and there, but it's the 2 big ones which take the airbag off, and they're 30s. Right, and this is why we undo the battery and leave no power on, because we need to unplug the airbags. There's little squeeze clips either side of the plug, so squeeze them, pull it out. They're colour coded, grey and black, so you can't get them wrong when it goes back together. So we'll take them out. Right, next is to unplug the connector from the steering wheel here, and then undo the 21mm nut. Now normally they're on a tapered thread on various cars and you've got to really pull to get them off, but this one, if it's the same as the S-Type, there's anything to go by, it will literally just be slid on, and this will be the captive part, so it won't be on a tapered thread. So that's a 21mm, so we'll undo that now. Right, so this is where you need to make sure your steering wheel's straight. So with that bolt undone, our steering wheel is straight. So yeah, that will pull off, feed them through the hole, and then that'll be off. I'm going to do it without holding the camera, so I'll make sure I don't drop anything or catch anything. And there it is, it's off. So we need to undo these 4 screws, unclip the stalks like that, so they're out of the way, like so. And then undo these 4, and there's another plug on the back to get off. But let's just check this. So if that's at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, that's definitely broke. Look, it keeps turning, so that must be what we done wrong. It must have been already turned a couple of times and we put it back on the steering rack. Right, let's unbolt those 4, and we are in luck. So this is the one off the XJ, 2W93 14A664, 2W9314A664. So yes, the 2 letters at the end are the slightly different ones, AE, and the XJ one is AF, but that's just slightly newer, but everything else is the same. So let's get it changed over. Hang on. So if I pop it off, there you go, you can see it binds all around there and gets tight or gets loose. So yeah, look, it's snapped, not connected. So that's a ribbon cable. Right, so fitting was reversal of removal. Woo! So let's give us some ignition. Let's make sure everything else works. Right, there we go. We're on. So, have we got buttons? Yay! Right, so hopefully my cruise control will work now as well. And the airbag light's gone off because obviously the airbag wasn't connected properly. So, that's another job ticked off the list. Right, I've got it back up on the lift just to have a little quick check over. Now we've done a few miles and I was getting a bit of a rattling. The sound deadening doesn't seem to be fixed anywhere. And there's no, well, there's not a great deal left of it to be fair, but there's no sort of holes where it would have mounted to anything. So it's sort of, I don't know if it's, when it gets the wind on it, whether it flaps against the exhaust and I can hear it, I don't know. It's all a bit strange. There's nothing sort of holding it. It's just sat there. Let's zoom out a bit. So, I don't know. And also this, where is it? This one here was touching the DPF. So I've moved all that back. So maybe that will stop. But you can see the sensor a bit clearer now. I presume it's snapped off here. I'm guessing that's going to be a casualty of the Copart forks. So it probably looped around the back and clipped on at the top. So I'll have to ring Jag and see if I can get one. You can see my Heath Robinson fix at the moment. It's holding, so I suppose I could, well, no, I don't really want to drill into those. I could have drilled a little hole and bolted that down, but I don't know if I really want to drill into alley arms. So yeah, so everything seems right under here. We've got nothing leaking. I know it's a bit dirty from when the old engine blew, but all seems all right. So I think now is to go and get some more miles on it. I've just rung Jaguar about the wishbone clip for the height sensor. Currently not available, on back order, no idea when it's coming in. So it looks like cable ties will have to do for now. Let's just hope they hold. I've kept the cable ties in the car and the wheel brace, so if it does break on me on the road, at least I can jack it up and fix it at the side of the road. So, right, I suppose we should go and get it valeted really. Little finishing touch, found a suitable keyring in the drawer. I don't know if there's many HRO in dealers anymore for Jaguar, but there was. So I think that works. Well, as you can see, I've had it washed inside and out. It's the first time I've used that car wash. I wasn't overly impressed, but the car's cleaner. So then I took it to my place where I get all my MOTs done and went to get the aircon gassed. The bonnet wouldn't open. The cable just went all floppy. So I thought it had snapped, but it hadn't. It had just come out of one of the clips. So I had to break into it as such by popping the grill out, popping the latches with a screwdriver, and then fitting the cable all properly. So yeah, we got the aircon done. It held vacuum, it filled up, it got cold, so it's all good. So I think for now, this is it for the Jaguar. I'm just going to put some miles on it and use it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I won't have to report anything back because it will just keep working. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found it useful. Give us a like, a subscribe, share us, comment. That buy me a coffee thing is there as well for the people who are asking. So yeah, anyway, thanks guys, see you in the next one.